Thanks for tuning in. Today I'm going to go over how much I've spent on this car in the last year. It's a lot, but isn't it sexy? So nice to drive it at nighttime and take it back road. It's so fun. So anyway, all the things that we're about to go over, they had to be done. I knew that going into the purchase. That being said, I wouldn't regret anything. It's a very fun car and it's incredible value for the dollar. I mean, listen to that, right? No matter what gear you're in, a few downshifts and you're going. Or if you're in automatic mode, you just hammer it, you're going, and it is so fun. It's amazing. Crazy fun. All right, let's do a little launch here. Watch as the speedo turns red, signifying to change gear. And we're at 100. Boom. Last year, I bought this car for 14,000 Canadian dollar. It had a plethora of problems. It didn't drive very well, and it was in a few accidents. So let's go through the numbers, see what I had to do to it to make it right. All right, before we get into the good stuff here, I threw on a more modern grille here, single fin. The original has 3. Also a new lower mid grille as well. Before I purchased the car, it had brand new brakes all around. These are very expensive, 6-piston calipers, so amazing at braking. The head bolts were done, which is a big corrosive issue with these M156 engines. Other than that, it needed a lot of work. One of the last things I have to do here on this is actually replace this tail light right here. It's fairly dim and is still damaged. Yeah. All right, let's get into the numbers. So, when I first bought this car, it had a horrible smell inside, and it turns out it has 4 catalytic converters, all of which were either gutted or removed. So I had 2 empty ones just behind the engine and a resonator. That was it for the exhaust. So turns out I had to have that looked into. That was $39.30 to have that diagnosed and tell me which I needed to put on to replace. That cost for a new exhaust system for this car is about $20,000. So we put that to the side and just kept driving it. Next thing I found is this vehicle burns oil slowly, but under a lot of revving and driving like a maniac, it burns oil fairly quickly. So we had to get some oil from Mercedes. That was $57.29. Next on the list, I have the OEM rims here. This car used to have non-OEM rims, and it had spacers and extra long lug nuts on them. So we had that removed. I got new lug nuts for it, front, back, everything, $301.48. Now there's no spacers. It actually drives way better and it's sexy. So how much do you think a key cost for this car? When I got it, the key was really bad. I mean, it could unlock it, lock it sometimes and barely start it. Well, I'll tell you how much it is. $823.60. How about that? And next up, right over here in this area is where the accident happened. Where the most recent accident happened, I believe back in 2019. It's repaired quite well, but there was a list of things I had to repair, including a wheel arch from this area. The inner wheel arch was non-existent. There was just some coolant hoses flopping around, so that had to get done, as well as a few other things. So the controls on the steering wheel didn't work. We got those to work. $160.20. Safety standard certificate, 150 bucks. The valve cover gaskets were leaking, $583.34. Air and cabin filters had to be done. That gave us a total of $122.40. Got a minor service where we got new engine oil, oil filter, check and top off the fluids, flush the engine, put in Ceratec. We got $146.17. That fender liner was parts, labor, just a bunch of stuff. $494.37 for a fender liner. How about that, eh? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So total here was $2,057.81. So one day I was driving, just racing around, following the speed limit. Coolant started dripping everywhere. I drove home slowly and it resulted in a very large bill. The vehicle was overheating. It was just horrible. New thermostat, coolant temp sensor, removed the water pump for inspection. Turns out it needed a new water pump. The high flow cats were installed. I replaced the tensioner pulley and 2 smooth idler pulleys. This cost me $3,986.64. In my mind, I'm thinking, is it worth it? Yeah, it's worth it. Look at those brakes. Yeah, it's worth it. And the last thing. So the most recent invoice was the motor mounts and the AC compressor. The AC compressor was shot. It was recharged in the past, didn't hold. So we needed a new AC comp and we needed a set of motor mounts installed there. $2,374.95. Everything's great. It's been great for a while. And it's got a ton of power. So I love to drive it. I only get to really drive it on the weekends or sometimes weeknights, but when I do, it is so fun. We got the M156 engine here by E-Roll Senk, whoever that is, but I mean the engine works very well and it's extremely fast, especially when you put your foot right down to the metal. So we got the new motor mounts in there, the AC comp. This thing is driving better than ever. You can kind of see that really big motor mount down there. Yeah, it's amazing. One other expense I forgot to mention is the licensing and registration. That was about $1,650. So we'll add that into the grand total as well. So what do the numbers add up to? Let's take a look. So we have $39.30. Checking out my catalytic converters, telling me what I needed to put on to make it right. $57.29 for some oil when I found out it was burning. $301.48 for the lug nuts, new lug nuts, make it right, remove the spacers and put on the OEM rims. Then we got $823.60 for the all new Mercedes key ordered from BFE. Then we got fender liner replacement, bunch of other things, valve cover gaskets, this, that, fender liner, yeah, you name it. $2,057.81. Then you got this next one here, $3,986.64. This is for the cooling system repairs. There was a big one, a lot of problems there. Drove great after that though. And then the last one here, $2,374.95, as well as $1,650 for the licensing and registration. Gives us a grand total of, that's right, $9,641.67. So is that tragic that I had to spend that big chunk of money, basically 10,000 bucks, if you take into account the front grille I put on there, lower grille, little things? Yeah, it's tragic. Would I have rather spent my money elsewhere? Probably. I would have rather not spent it at all. But this is what happens when you buy a car of this pedigree, of this age. It's gonna take maintenance. A car like this and most AMGs or high performance cars are going to come with a hefty price tag. This one in particular was about $130,000 when it was new back in 2009. It's got a lot of power even by today's standards, and it's a very fun, naturally aspirated AMG V8. This is what you're going to have to roll with if you want that NA power and that just raw fun. So anyway, that concludes the video. You like what you see, hit the like button. You got any suggestions, what you want to see, let me know. Put it down in the comments, and we'll see you in the next one. Got some really interesting ones coming up. Peace.